Is America really the best country in the world? This video topic was inspired by the World Cup that is happening right now, and currently also with America there is a lot of division in the world. There's a lot of left and right, and my goal with this video in particular is not to make this political in any sense. So I don't care what side of the fence you're on, whether you are, on the left or on the right or red, blue, conservative, liberal, doesn't really matter what side you are on. But I want to give an honest perspective, kind of like an unbiased perspective on why America is the best country in the world, and also at the same time why it is not the best country in the world. And I'm going to share kind of both perspectives that I picked up just looking at like the whole mindset of certain people on both sides, right? So people who say that America is the best country in the world, what are they really focusing on? And people who say otherwise, why do they, believe that? And what I believe is the best overall, I guess, option for most people, depending on, the type of lifestyle that you're looking to live, right? So with the World Cup thing that's happening right now, you've got all these Europeans coming over, people from all the countries all over the world coming over to America and experiencing American culture for the first time for a lot of them, right? They are going to, American restaurants, visiting Walmart. I've seen videos of like Italians visiting Walmart and then looking at like the, like the pasta section and like the pizza section and all that, and then seeing their reactions. That's kind of one thing that is, kind of funny to see. And then I guess also learning that ranch is not a thing in Europe. I never knew that, but I guess that's one of the few things that never made it overseas, right? Like most fast food restaurants that we all know are now, in pretty much every country all over the world, by this point. But I guess ranch is one of those few things that never made it overseas, right? And then the other culture shock that a lot of these people from other countries are seeing is just how big everything is in America, right? Everything is massive. You have all of this diversity. You have states that are almost like their own countries in many ways. Like if you compare America to Europe, right? Like in Europe, you could drive for like an hour and then go through like 3 countries or something like that. Versus in America, you are just going from state to state, but each state can kind of be like its own country in a sense because each state is very different. So that is the main thing that people are experiencing with America and just seeing how Americans live on a day-to-day basis. And so one thing that I find is very interesting that I also want to talk about is why Europeans seem to be enjoying America more than Americans are, right? And I believe that has a lot to do with just the hustle and bustle culture that a lot of us Americans are trapped in, right? So the average American right now, they go to work 40 hours a week at a job, and most of them, you're working typically like some manual labor type of job. When you get home, oftentimes all you want to do is relax, but because the insanely high cost of living and just how quickly everything is going up in price and the wages not keeping up with that, more and more Americans are just working endlessly, right? They work 40 hours a week at a job, and then on top of that, they do an extra 20 hours a week, maybe doing like Uber or DoorDash or one of these other side hustles, or maybe they do TaskRabbit, or they have some other part-time job on top of that. And then this makes it very difficult for Americans to socialize with people. It gives us, less time to, meet people. And I have a theory on this. The reason why I believe a lot more young people are like, more socially awkward nowadays is just because of the fact that it's a lot harder to connect with people, right? On top of the hustle and bustle culture that we have in America, everything is spread apart, right? So you compare to countries in Europe or countries in Asia where a lot of them are more walkable, you can get around without having a car, and you could, meet people easier. In America, with the cost of living going way up and with everything being, spread apart, either you have to have a car to go anywhere, or you are going to have to pay for Uber rides, pay for an Uber to go somewhere, locally. And because everyone is just constantly working, most people are just, constantly feeling rushed to get to their job, or, they're just trying to do the next thing to make money, basically. And so that is why a lot of people nowadays, like they're walking around, they got their earbuds in, they're not approachable at all. And this is why less people are dating, especially in the younger generation. More young folks are just focusing on making money. And I believe that is why a lot of people are becoming very, I guess, pessimistic and seeing America as like, oh, well, our money doesn't really go that far nowadays and we just got to keep working and nobody's really getting along nowadays. And then I believe also, regardless of what side of the political fence you're on, and again, my goal is not to get political in any way, but I believe that a lot of this division that exists right now between the left and the right is planned out. I don't believe that any candidate can do no wrong. And a lot of this is just designed in a way to divide people, right? I believe the main issue, above all else, that is not being addressed by either side is the fact that they keep printing money, trillions of dollars, which is causing the cost of living to go way through the roof. And on top of that, inviting all these foreigners in from other countries, that is making it harder for the average everyday person to live. So the way that I look at that is it's not so much a matter of left versus right, but it's rather a matter of the have-yots versus the have-nots. There's the people at the very top that are making all this money, and then pretty much everyone else that's just stuck in the hustle and bustle grind. And that is why a lot of people believe that America is not the best country in the world and not the place that you want to live. And the reason why a lot of foreigners, Europeans, see this as like, oh, this is the best country ever is because they are not working, they're not stuck in the, hustle culture like Americans are, right? They're not going to work 40 hours a week. They're not burnt out after, working years of their life with getting nothing in return or very little in return. Instead, a lot of these people, they have a lot more spending power in their country, even though maybe they're making less money than us. The money that they're making goes a lot further, where they're from, right? So when they come to America, they mainly are just experiencing, the variety of everything. They're seeing how big everything is. That is what they're seeing. And they're seeing the average American that is just, working these normal jobs and maybe, because of their friendliness, maybe they're just, friendly with these people. But that is what has given America more excitement and buzz within, the past month or so of this World Cup thing happening, right? But my personal view of this overall is if you are someone that is highly ambitious and you want to make money, like let's say that you have something that you're going for, like you're looking to become a doctor, or I would say mostly if you lean more entrepreneurial, then America is the best place when it comes to making money. And so that is, it's not even close. You can't even compare this to any other country in the world, but America is the best place to make money. However, the problem is your money doesn't really go that far in America unless if you just happen to be making like 7 figures or something like that. And even the cost of starting a family is more than it's ever been. So if you intend on getting married, like if you're a young person watching this video, you intend on getting married, you intend on having kids, then you are likely going to have to be making, over 6 figures to even have like a stable family. And so that is even considering the fact that most likely you're going to be in a household where both you, the man, and the wife are going to be working, unless if you happen to just be like top 1% earner. And that is why I believe currently right now, with everything that's going on, specifically with the cost of living through the roof and with more and more people struggling to get by, that has also led to crime rates going way up. It's also led to more division because more people are just, they're lacking purpose and they feel like there's no way out of the grind. Then I believe that the best approach for the average person, the average young person right now, is figure out a way to make money online. If you're in America right now, figure out a way to make US dollars, and then that will give you the location freedom to live anywhere in the world. You're going to have that much more flexibility. And I'm not saying that, you should just make money online and then just immediately leave America, because I know that not everyone has that option. Maybe you want to be close to your family. So maybe for you, your path might be you move to a smaller town where the cost of living isn't, as high compared to one of the big cities. Or you might decide to live off grid. There is the option of moving, either to Europe or, in Asia, where there's less animosity towards one another and the cities are more walkable, so it's a lot easier to socialize with people. And so for me, in my case, I mainly spent most of my 20s just focusing on ways to make money online. I mainly do digital marketing, which is just promoting digital products online, and that type of stuff. And so for me, my approach is In the US, I'm mainly focusing on just building my business when I'm outside of work. And then once I get myself to a point where I'm earning, a consistent $3,000 to $5,000 per month online, then I will of course explore other countries outside of the US and decide where is the best place for me to, of course, raise a family. So again, I believe that America is mainly for making money, in my honest opinion. And I think that everywhere else outside in the world is mainly for living. So if you want more of a balanced life, if you don't want to be working 24/7, then America probably isn't the best place for that. So if you're just a regular worker and you don't really have any desires to, start a business, then you're probably going to be scraping by for most of your life, unless if you are, maybe like retired and you have like assets in your name, then you might be able to live more of a comfortable life. But that is my personal take on whether or not America is the best country. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you think of this take. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm a total idiot and that I should just stop speaking altogether? I'm sure I'll have some comments saying, if you don't like it, just get out. A lot of people get really defensive when you say anything remotely negative about the US. And so while I disagree with people on the left who say America's the worst place entirely and nothing's good here, I disagree with those people, but I also disagree with people on the right who, when you say anything remotely negative, they just immediately attack you and say that, they accuse you of being a liberal, basically. And that's mainly, I believe, more of a result of people just being stressed out in the hustle culture. And they just want to, they just get very defensive when you say anything that slightly contradicts their beliefs. So what I encourage you to do is to not get defensive, just share your honest opinion. Let me know what you think and share your opinion down below. And that being said, if you want to hear more topics like this, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. Again, this is a new channel and you can subscribe to hear more of my takes if you want. Otherwise, give us a thumbs up if you found this helpful and insightful, and take care. All the best.